question that goes part and parcel with what we were just talking about expanding our economies. The more we expand the more we make investments in all the parts of our state, the more opportunity exists for people to come here and establish businesses. I'll tell you what I mean by that. So imagine you're selling your house. When you sell your house, if you're going to be a good seller, you want your house to sell, and you want to sell it quickly, you're not just going to clean up the living room and the kitchen. You're going to get that entire house ready to show. You're going to get the first floor, the second floor, the basement, and the attic. You're going to get it all ready to show, so that the buyer has complete confidence in the home purchase that they're making. That's exactly what we want to do here in North Carolina. We want to make investments in the eastern part and western parts of our state to shore them up in things like high-speed internet and infrastructure like roads and sewer in the eastern part of our state. So when folks come to this state to look to plop a business down or start a business, they just don't see Charlotte or Raleigh or Greensboro. They see an entire state that is business ready. So I think that's how we continue to draw in that talent, by having a state that is ready for business all across the state and making those investments. Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Governor, thanks for having us. I've got two questions that kind of dear to my heart. One concerns the AAPI. So as governor, when you become governor, what kind of infrastructure will you have in place to support the AAPI community? So my ultimate goal is to have a resource center or a community center for the Asian community. There are resource centers for other minorities, but somehow the Asian community has been left out. I've been informed that the Hispanic community was offered $5 million of resources, and the Asian community has not been offered that amount of money. My second question also comes for the AAPI. As an entrepreneur, how are you going to enable the Asian community to have better access or easier access as far as language for funds to build their business, to start a business, to develop more technology inside their business or to increase? So how, as governor, are you going to be able to tackle those, or is that something you're going to be focused on?
Absolutely. It starts with what we're doing here. This is where it starts right here. I'm going to say this, and I'm telling you this. I heard this out of a lawmaker's mouth, and thank goodness he's not in Raleigh anymore. He was there when I first came, but he's left since then. But he actually said something of this nature. He said, you know, we focus heavily on black neighborhoods and Hispanic neighborhoods. He said, but we don't need to really focus on the Asians. They take care of themselves.
And that's what I.
And I thought,
we're complacent.
So what? You just don't talk to them? Come on, man.
Right. Well, I need to stand up and shout with a bullhorn.
That's exactly
I'm here.
Right.
I'm here.
And that's where it starts. It starts with this conversation, but then it continues with something that I believe is important for elected officials to continue to do once they're elected. We have to invite you to the table.
Right.
We have to invite you to come and sit at the table, and we need to listen to your concerns, and more importantly than your concerns, we need to listen to your ideas.
Right.
And how we can apply some principles to your ideas to make them into a reality. That hasn't been done. So that's what we intend to do.
Good. When
I tell people I intend to partner with the people of North Carolina, what do you do for a living?
Yeah. Working hard.
He's a businessman. You're in education. Real estate. So if somebody asked me to go and work for this man in real estate, yeah, that's not going to work out real good. That's not my forte. But I like to say it like this. I may not know a ton about real estate, but I know someone who does. And when it's time to talk about real estate, when it's time to talk about education, when it's time to talk about business, you go to those folks, you bring those folks to the table, you bring that energy, you bring that talent, you bring that intelligence to the table. You can get so many things solved when you do that. Instead of just sitting in Raleigh thinking a bunch of bureaucrats can give you the answer. We got to get out, we got to ask the folks, and we got to invite them to the table. So that's what I'm going to tell you standing right here. We're going to invite you to the table to bring your energy there so we can bring those solutions that you asked for.
Well, I have two very challenging questions for you.
Sure.
You know, Mark and his roots of where he comes from the beginning. You know, when we were talking before he was running for the governor's race, you know, he came up where people were losing jobs and things, and it was never, well, blaming it on China, right? In Mark's heart, what he sees is, if we're getting beat, we gotta do better, we gotta play better, right? How are we gonna, it's not about beating China, it's not about beating jobs going overseas, it's about making the environment in North Carolina, like Dave was asking, for education and for opportunities. And so what I'm gonna challenge you to do is, how many of you are Chinese descent? Okay, all right, so this is the AAPI, right?
Yeah.
So when we're in Greensboro, I'm bringing Laotian, Cambodian, and Vietnamese people to meet with Mark, because you know what their challenge is? They've got small businesses and bringing their family members in, but their biggest challenge is lawful immigration, understanding the forms and getting help to process it so they don't meet deadlines, right? So what I'm telling you is you have the power, Alex, and with those questions you're asking, how do you get this to be established? I need you not just to come to fundraisers like this, I need you to do friend raisers. I need you to bring your friends in the community to these events. I'll give you my cell number, everybody, you can call me anytime you got an issue, you want brought to Mark, I'll help get that before him. But let me just ask you this, the difference between the Democrats and Republicans is this. Republicans, kind of very passionate people, and we say stuff that's sound bites and headlines, right? But let me ask you, who are the people fighting to keep affirmative action in place which discriminates against Asians? Democrats. Who are the people causing, who was the man behind having the state of North Carolina submit to consent orders which discriminated against Asians? Josh Stein. Let me ask you, from the last 4 years, do you feel safer in North Carolina with Josh Stein as Attorney General?
No.
What's our state motto? To esse quam videre, to be rather than to seem, okay? So I appreciate everyone coming out to this. This is not my soapbox, but I'm just gonna tell you,
Sure.
this is why we're here.
Yep.
You need to tell us, and exactly to the point of creating these centers that recognize the Asian community
Yep.
of all facets, right?
That's right.
So-
And making these things happen is what we're here to do.
Let me clarify. So I don't want equal access. Equal access doesn't mean equity.
Yeah,
Opportunity only.
that's right.
So
Equality of opportunity.
everybody has equal access. Don't get that mistaken,
Sure,
right?
sure. No.
But from the level of equal access I have, I might be starting down here, and that's not equal access to me. I
Sure.
want that equity leveled out
Sure.
where I have that access.
Sure. And that's my whole philosophy about government. My philosophy
John,
about
John.
government is that I work hard to present an opportunity that people can work hard to take advantage of. But we need to make sure that everybody has access to it.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Let me make a comment also first. We are a special group, Asian community, but we are also part of the country. We have our special concerns, interests,
Sure.
but like what you did and what she just said, our country comes first, and we are facing geopolitical challenges. I think it's going to be a problem at some time. But here, if you are in this country, your interest is here. Our interest is here.
Sure.
And just think about if some foreign country send missiles over here. It doesn't discriminate anybody, right? It just kill you. So we have to be able to defend.
Yes.
And talking about that, then I'll come back to education. So for so long, education is focused on, basically by politicians, on moving the average, meeting the average. They are ignoring, the people who want to achieve excellence.
Yes.
So I would like you, when you become governor, do something with your board of education members. We work extra hard to achieve what we could.
Yes.
However, there are rooms for policies to encourage people to achieve their potential, and that helps the country.
Now, I want you to, so for me being a black person, when I look back on the history of this country, what I see is at the worst of times when racism against black people was at its highest, black people were achieving at a level that's just, that was outstanding. Black folks were building their own neighborhoods, their own homes, their own businesses, their own communities. there was the level of marriage in this country for black people was about 85 to 90% mother, father, children inside the home. When we switched over to this quote war on poverty and started to build a welfare state where things started to be given to people, you see a reversal of all that. Now you see these communities falling apart. And so I think it's exactly what you just said. We have to bring back excellence. I'm sure all of y'all have heard the phrase DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, I'm in favor of a form of DEI myself, but my DEI is discipline, excellence, and intelligence. That's what I believe in. And that's what we need to bring back. We need to bring that back across the board in every facet of our country. We need to bring it back in our military. We need to bring it back in business. We need to bring it back in education. We need to bring back discipline, excellence, and intelligence. And we've lost that to a great extent because we're chasing this pipe dream of trying to make everyone equal. Our founding document says that all men are created equal. But people always want to leave out the last part. It says they are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. The right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's what we say makes us equal. I am not equal with Michael Jordan on the basketball court.
Right.
I am not equal with this gentleman when it comes to business.
We don't know yet.
So this whole idea of equality and equity and all of those things that we push above discipline and excellence and intelligence, we got to stop doing that. We got to get back to what makes institutions great, what makes states and nations great. And that's a focus on excellence, just like you said.
Great. And you can see we have so many intelligence here
You better
already.
believe it.
It's a representative
That's right.
API, sure.
That's right.
You can tell the Asian communities are waking up now.
That's right.
They are
That's right.
really concerned about the direction this country, the state, the city are heading for.
That's right.
So they were not quiet anymore.
Good.
Not
Good.
invisible anymore. So
Right.
every one of them is represent a good
Sure.
chunk of a group of communities.
Sure.
So I think on the Republican policies, I don't hide my political preference. I'm pro-Republican, right? There's a lot of policies just fit perfect with Asian culture. So if the Republican Party can convey a message across clearly,
Sure.
differentiate yourself from, your, Democratic parties, I think you can win much more vote from 7% tipping point Asian communities.
Yes, absolutely. I believe that too.